or if you feel better to sit up on blankets, if that helps you feel more easy in your hips, that you can sit up and allow yourself to feel very comfortable in your hips and in how you have your legs, of course. And then just breathe. That was worse and not better. I give up. So just allow yourself to release upward through the top of your head, letting your shoulders release down away from your ears, and watch your breath now. Just accept your breaths coming in and going out through your nose. Feeling the breath come into the belly. If you're comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, you can inhale into the belly, into the ribs, all the way up into your chest. Let your face soften now and let go of your jaw. Let your body move forward and back with your breath, letting your torso stay as one long piece, exhaling your way forward and inhaling your way back up. So very mindfully allowing yourself to move with your breath. Doesn't matter how far you go. Keeping your head in line with your spine and letting yourself feel really open across your chest. Next time that you come forward, let yourself stay forward. Bring your hands on down to wherever you need for support. If you feel like you want to walk further forward with your hands and let the body come down more, that's fine. If not, stay up as fine as you choose. Let yourself find that release for your back, your hips, without feeling stressed at all. Just be with your breath now. Then we're going to come up enough to be on our hands, and then just let ourselves shift side to side, keeping your hands centered, but letting your torso and your shoulders really just come from one side to the other. And you can go as far as you want. You can make it really small, feeling one side and then the other back there and your low back. Come on back into center, and now let's walk our hands over. I'm in a mirror. Let's walk our hands over towards the right side. Let yourself come out over that thigh. And then send your right hand back a little further. We're going to open into side stretch from here, letting yourself really release into the side body. For a second, bend your left elbow. Let your left hand come maybe to the back of your head, or, it depends on you how your shoulder feels. And then reach the arm back long again. And then we're going to turn to face the floor, walk back through center. Then we're going to make our way over to the other side. So again, letting yourself come out over that thigh. Take your time, let it feel really good. Let your head hang if you want, just be nice and release there. welcome to that side stretch. So bringing the hand back and letting yourself open up into that side body here now. Breathing into that side you're stretching. And then bend your elbow if that feels good. I know that's not for everybody's shoulders, you know, just be mindful. If it feels like not good, don't do it. And then extend back into your long arm if you had it bent, and we're going to turn back again towards our thigh, and we're going to walk back into center. One more breath here at center, letting yourself really lengthen out through your spine. Even if you need to come up a little bit, find a nice flat back there. And then we're going to walk all the way with our hands back upright to sitting, hands out beside us, and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's slide our hands over to the left. Let your right ear come towards your left shoulder. Just release through the side of the neck. And then come on back through center and go the other way. Just let your hands go one way, your head go the other. Now let's do that again. Come on back through center and go over to the first side again. And then slide on back through center and go over again to the other side. And then we'll come on back into center and let yourself sit here for a nice breath, lengthening upward. Good. Now remember which leg you have in front. We're going to bring our hands back and bring ourselves into feet on the floor for a second. And then widen the feet out. And you can get your hands however's comfortable. We're going to let our knees come from one side to the other. So inhaling as the knees come up and exhaling when they release back down. And take your time. Just let it feel really good to release there into that front of that top hip right here and your thigh a little bit. Depends on you how far you want to go. Good. And then come on back up with the knees. Bring the feet closer together. Hold on behind your thighs here now. And just walk your feet back and come into just a little boat pose. Just bring those feet on up. Let yourself find the core body a little bit there. You can let go if you want. Letting yourself feel your belly, your low backs, your hips are working. And then hold on again for a second. If you want to extend your legs up a little bit, do just to stretch the legs out a little bit. And then we're going to come on back down. We're going to switch the cross of our legs and come cross-legged in the other direction. And let's come on forward from here. So letting yourself ease your way into that seated forward bend. And take your time, you know that. You need to stay up high, stay up high. You don't have to go any further forward. Take your time. If you need support underneath your knees, you know, if you feel a little bit of glitchiness in your hips or your knees, you can support with blocks under the outside of your legs there. Sometimes that helps tremendously. Good. So one more breath here. And then we'll walk ourselves all the way on back up, bringing our hands on out beside us, taking a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twisting to our right, bringing ourselves on around. Once you get into the twist, inhale again into the length of your spine. And as you exhale, come on back around and go around to the other side. So we're actually going to do this with our breath over and over a little bit. Inhaling into the length and exhaling to the other side. So let the twists, these moving twists, feel really easy. Every exhale brings you around into the other side. It doesn't matter what pace you're breathing at or how long your breaths are or deep, but just let yourself enjoy. Feeling that ease of waking up the spine with these gentle little twists with the breath. And now, the next time that you exhale, you're going to stop back at center. And letting yourself bring your arms right on out from your shoulders here. Flex your hands for just a second. Really feel the undersides of the arms. Let the fingertips face down so you feel the tops of the arms a little more. Let your hands circle in one direction. And then stop and reverse and go the other direction. Good. And let's bring our right arm on top of our left. Give ourselves a hug. Let yourself release here. Hold however you want, more towards your armpits or up and over to your shoulders. Let your shoulders melt down. And then move your head around however feels good. You know, sometimes in a hug like this, I even like to let my shoulders get involved and kind of sway from side to side a little bit. Sometimes I like to just let my head be the thing that's moving. So just find release, however it feels good for you. You know, and you got all kinds of ways you can move your head, turning the head or tilting the head or rolling the head. And then come on back. Once you finish what you're on, come back to look forward and head either towards your half eagle or your eagle wrap. So sending the back of the left hand to the outside of the right elbow or coming into your full wrap here. And now don't force anything, but if you're in your wrap here, if when you inhale you can let your elbows float up just a little bit, and when you exhale you let them come back down. Just tiny movement, it's not big. And only if it feels good. If it feels like it's adding tension, stop doing it, right? Good. And now finish the one you're on. And we're going to unwind the arms, bring them straight back out from the shoulders. Let yourself reach out through your fingertips and really feel that sense of releasing at the tops of your shoulders here now. Feeling the weight of your arms. And we're going to switch to bring the left arm on top of the right. And again, the hugging can happen however you need it to. And again, you may decide, I want to start to move my head around, or I want to do a little bit of moving around even with my shoulders. You know, just be really mindful. Take it slow and let it feel good to you in your neck and your upper back. Once you come back into center now, we'll again either head towards the half or the full wrap. So sliding the back of the right hand to the outside of the left elbow or coming into your wrap here. And then again, if that little bit of movement there, inhaling and letting the elbows rise up and exhaling, letting them come down feels good, you can. More breath. And then from here, we're going to unwind those arms on out. Let your hands come on down behind you a little bit. Stretch your legs out into a little bit of a wide angle, not a big one. And just let yourself flex your feet there. Lean back into your hands, or if that's too much on your wrist, be on your fingertips. But let yourself just feel the feet flexing. Feel the heels on the floor, draw them back towards you a little bit. And then we'll come on forward, maybe just a tiny bit, maybe barely, that's up to you. Just let yourself release, finding a little more here in the backs of your legs and coming forward from your low back. You can reach your hands down your legs if you want, or you can put your legs on the floor if you want. Your hands on the floor, what did I say? One more breath. We are going to head our way back up from here, bring our legs on around, shake them out just a little bit, windshield wiper blades if that feels good to you, and we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So you know, if you don't want to be on your knees, do not be. If you prefer to have support under your hands, if you prefer to go down to your forearms to do your cat-cow, to get out of your hands, by all means do it. Come to the fists if you need. And then just be aware of how your hands are. If your hands are there flat, try to think about getting your pointer fingers about parallel to each other. Let the fingers spread nice and wide. And then just start to ease your way. Now, if you can, when you get into either a cat or a cow pose, stay there for a breath. And then when you're ready to move through to the cat or the cow, see if you can stay in that pose for a breath, or two, or 3 or 4 if you want, right? So you just take at least a brief period of time to really feel the pose before you move through the spine back to the next one. So moving between those two. And then that kind of puts your focus on the pose itself, the cat or the cow, when you stop like that, right? So once you've done a few of those, see now if you can start to move continuously, so you bring your awareness to actually that movement between the poses more than the actual getting into the pose itself. So you're focusing on that tailbone moving, and you just move up through your spine, letting it feel very natural. Same thing, whether you're drawing the tailbone under you in towards cat or reaching it back and up. But just have fun with the movement itself. Good. We're going to finish off the one we're on. We're going to come back to a more neutral spine. And let's come down to our forearms. And you can just let your hands be flat on the floor if you want. You can turn the hands over. It doesn't matter. Bring your left knee a little forward. Step your right foot back into a long leg. And just let yourself stretch out the back of that right leg there. So you're just, a little bit different than if you had your hands there. You're taking all that stress out of your wrist. But it also changes the feeling of the back of the leg when you're down lower like this. One more breath. And then bring that right knee forward, and we're going to step the left foot back. And again, the leg is long. You're pressing into the inner heel a little bit. Feel your belly engaging. And let yourself open up through the back of that leg. And then come on back, both knees. Let's come into child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Let yourself shift back. Only as far, of course, as feels good for your hips. You can stay up more if you need to. Hips up higher. Breathe for a couple of breaths into your low back. Good. And then bring your hands, walk them over to the right side. And once you get as far as you think, well, that feels pretty good, bring your left hand on top of your right hand. So you're a little bit deeper into that side. Let your head hang if you can. It might come to the floor, it might not. And let yourself breathe into the left ribs here. And then we're going to come back, walking back with our hands through center, and we're going to go over to the left. Again, you kind of go as far as feels right and good. And then bring your right hand over to be on top of your left hand. And as you release here and you feel that nice stretch through the right side, also be aware of that connection at your hands. Because not often do you touch the top of one hand with the other, so just enjoy that connection. One more breath. And then we'll come on back into center. Come back onto your forearms one more time, right? Let your hips really come up towards the ceiling. Clasp your hands, send your pointer finger out. Let your chest melt down a little bit. So like dolphin pose, right? Just letting your chest melt down easily, feeling that release between the shoulder blades on your back. And then let your head just turn side to side. So you're just turning to look one way and then the other. Good. And then come on back into center. And we are going to bring our left foot forward for a lunge. So you know if you like using your blocks, you might want to get them under your hands as we step that left foot forward and come on up into lunge. So be mindful, however long of a stance you need to take, right? Don't force it. If it needs to be a shorter stance and you need to be up higher on the blocks, do it. If you like to go really low, that's fine. Just enjoy, draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other, like you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. Good, and let's straighten that front leg out. Let the right heel descend directly behind your foot. Extend your torso out over that front leg. Really find a nice long back here if you can. whether you're forward a little bit on a diagonal if your hands are lower, or if your hands are up higher, you're more like parallel to the floor. We're going to bend that front knee and come back into lunge. And let's switch our legs. So however you like to switch, whatever works for you, getting that alignment there, making sure you've got that front knee bent no farther forward than your ankle. Press the feet away from each other again, like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Feel that length through the back body, the zip up of the low belly a little bit. In other words, just feel your whole body in the pose. Good, and then we're going to straighten that front leg out, and again, you're just extending your torso long, whether you're a little bit forward on a diagonal line or parallel to the floor. Eyes lift up towards the hips. Just let yourself enjoy opening a little deeper into the backs of the legs. Good, and then we're going to bend that front knee again, come back into our lunge, and we'll come on forward into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful here. Let yourself release however you need. So if you need support, use it. Elbows above the knees, hands on the blocks. If you prefer to let your hands come on down to your feet or come down, hold on to your calves, or just be easy. Let your body go where it feels really good. And watch your breaths in and out. And then release your hands on up to your hips. As we bend our knees, we're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Now sway a little bit here. Go forward and back a bit. So just a little bit towards the balls of the feet. You can lift your heels slightly and back to the heels to lift your toes slightly if you want to lift up a bit. Good. And then come on back to center and see if you can just go side to side. So you shift more to the right and then more to the left. Oh, those can be a little bit bigger. Unless, like me, you just almost fell over. And then come on back into center again, feeling equally balanced between your feet, front to back and right side to left side. Feel your hands together in front of your chest. And release your arms now on down beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend our knees as we come forward into our standing forward bend. In your next inhale, find that flat back. And exhale, right foot back to come into lunge. And inhale, exhaling into your down dog. Yay for the dog. Very slow warm up today. Sorry, I don't know why I'm like this today, but take your time, let yourself ease your way, walk a little bit, let your head turn side to side. And on your next inhale, come on out to your plank. Engage your belly, walk a little bit in your plank too. Bend one knee at a time. You can even come to the top of the one set of toes and then the other, so you push into your toenails a little bit and really stretch your feet out there. Good, and then we're going to come back to full plank and we're going to lower down. Knees first if you need, elbows right by the ribs. And let's come on into Sphinx, elbows underneath the shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide. And in fact, pick your pointer fingers up for a second off the floor. And then slowly let them come back down. And then lift your middle fingers, and you can watch them. And let them come down. And now the ring fingers. And they're going to come back down. And now the pinkies are going to lift up. And then they're down. Now the thumbs a little bit, maybe not quite as much. And then let them come down. And now really feel each finger, your thumbs into the ground there. One more breath. And then we're going to lower on down. We're going to come back into downward facing dog pose, whether you come through a half, a full push-up, or if you just shift back to your hands and knees and back to dog. And go ahead and walk your dog a little bit. Feel that sense of the elbows hugging towards each other. And then we're coming on back to the full dog, and we'll bring our right foot forward to find lunge. And you know you can put your left knee down to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bent. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful, let yourself feel even. If you need to lift your toes up, go for it, you know. You can even massage your toes a little bit if you can get your hands down there, right? You can take your toes one at a time and kind of squeeze them from the root up through the middle of the toe all the way up to the tip. You can do it with each toe, unless you have a bruised one. And then be really mindful when you let your toes release back down to the floor. Appreciate them for a second. One more full deep breath. Good, and then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, as our hands come down, let the top of the head reach up towards the ceiling. Now see if for a second you can bend your knees softly and just bounce a little bit. Now, I don't mean really big to where you're hurting your knees, right? Just a little bit of a bounce. Now you can actually come into lifting your heels up and bouncing a little more if you want. Or you can let your heels stay down. You can dance back there if you want to. You know, and if it bothers your knees, don't do it. But there's something really awakening about little tiny bounces, right? And then let yourself come all the way back up into mountain pose. Inhale your hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward. Let your next inhale help you find that flat, long back. And this time, left foot comes back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into downward facing dog pose. Bring your feet a little closer together. Let's bring our right leg up in the air and just open your hip a little bit. So stack that right hip on top of the left. You can turn to look underneath your right arm. If you want to go ahead and continue to draw the heel in towards your buttocks, you can. And then turn the knee back to face the floor. Put the foot back down on the floor. We're going to switch. Left leg comes up, bend the knee, and again, you can stack. Open the hip a little bit, looking under that left arm. And again, it's up to you. If you want to pull a little more with the heel, letting it come in towards your buttocks, you can get that quad. And then turn the knee down towards the floor and put the foot back on the ground. Find your dog, walk a little bit if you want to. And then we'll come on out to plank. And we're going to lower down again. Knees first if you need, elbows right by the rib. And let's come on up into a little cobra, but float your hands up for a second off the floor. So you're really feeling your body doing the work here. And then when you put your hands back down, have it be fingertips outside the outside edges of your mat. So your fingertips are on the floor, on outside of the mat there. And now, next time you inhale, try to come up just a little higher, pressing into the fingertips. And when you exhale, lower your head back down to the ground. But keep your elbows up towards the ceiling. So when you inhale, press into the fingertips, rise up. And when you exhale, let yourself come back down. And then one more time. Inhale, rising up. And now bring your hands right by your chest again. And if you want to continue upward into Cobra, you can. That is totally up to you. If not, don't do it. Bring yourself where you can be. And then we'll all come all the way on back down. And we're going to make our way back to down dog again, however you want to get there. Take your time. Ease your way back. Now feel your hands on the ground and feel those elbows hugging towards each other. Make sure you're not rolling to the outer edges of your hands. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful. If you're able to clasp your hands up on your back, do that. If you know that's not so good for your back, do not do it. And if some of you want to release your arms off the back forward, you can, if your shoulders let you. Remember, your knees can be bent. Feel your feet equal in the floor. Imagine now that you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet, so you're pressing them away from each other, but you don't want to roll to the outer edges of your feet. So feel the big toe mounds on the ground. And then we'll release the hands back down. We're going to press into our feet and rise up to standing. And inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain for a couple of breaths. If you need to find a little bit different way to be standing, by all means do. Find that quietness. Imagine that the space around you really is supporting you. And it is almost like you've become a part of the space all around you. So easy to be in your mountain pose. And as we unfold our arms right back down, we're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring us forward. In your next inhale, find that flat back. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. Moving with the breath. Inhale. Exhale into your downward dog. Let your next inhale bring you to plank. And your next exhale, lower you down. And inhale into your Cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with the breath. Letting your exhale bring you forward again. Inhale into that long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. Your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into your Cobra of choice. Exhaling back into down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale, nice long back. And we're going to come into down dog. Take your hands. Bring yourself into your dog. Spread your fingers wide. Let yourself take your time to settle down into your breath. Good. And you can walk your dog. You can turn to the tops of your feet if you want. And then from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward. And have your blocks handy. We're going to come up for warrior two. So line up those heels. Get yourself really aligned in that back foot where you're comfortable, in your knee, your ankle, up into your hip. And then just for a couple of times, let yourself straighten and bend the front knee while you're watching. Right, so when you bend the knee and you come back into the straighter leg, you can watch what your knee does and kind of control it a bit, right? You know, sometimes the knee wants to come in or out just because of the way you're built. So there's some things you can't do anything about. The way you're built is one of them, but you can have a little bit more control about what you do there. Go ahead and bend that front knee and let yourself bring your left hand down so that it's right above your knee, on your thigh there. And bring your right arm up way high, right up from your shoulder, and turn your palm to face the front of your mat. Look down. So let yourself just release down to look at your hand there or to look at your foot. Release your neck. And then we're going to start to rise the gaze, and the arms are going to come into warrior two arms. So you're just going to let that back arm come on down, reaching up and forward through the left fingertips. And then just enjoy. Soften your shoulders down. If you need to bring your hands a little higher to find that release of the shoulders, do. Feel the feet equal in the floor. We're going to bring the right hand down to the right hip. We're going to straighten the left knee out. And we're going to bring that left hand down for triangle. So you may want to put it on your leg. You may want to use a block. You may want to use the floor. That's totally up to you. So adjusting if you need. If you don't feel like your stance is the right length, go ahead and adjust. And then draw your right shoulder up. If you're able to add the right arm straight up from your shoulder, do. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Feel that length out through the top of your head. Good. One more breath. And now look down towards your left foot. We're going to bend the left knee. And we're going to be in side angle, so you may just want to put your elbow above your knee, or you may want to let your hand stay on a block. And then lower that right arm down towards your head as you start to look towards the long edge of your mat, or some of you may even want to turn to look up. That is totally up to you. So be where you can, letting yourself extend into that side angle pose, finding the length through both sides of the body. Beautiful. One more breath. And now turn to look at the floor. Bring your hands down briefly. We're going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend, so you might want to grab your blocks. Bring yourself on around. Bend one knee at a time once you get there, if that feels fine for your knees, of course. And you can kind of just wiggle around however you want, whatever kind of movement helps you, right? If you like to walk your hands side to side, if you like to, come over and stay on one side for a while, or maybe it feels better just to shift back and forth. Let it feel really good. Good. And then come on back into center. And if you can, bring yourself up to put your elbows above your knees with your knees slightly bent. And that might be the place you want to stay. Some of you may decide that you want to put your hands on your back and clasp them. Maybe even folding forward, top of the head towards the ground, and then maybe releasing your arms off your back. If that doesn't feel good, don't do it. Stay up, supporting yourself. And breathe. A couple more breaths. And then wherever you are now, release and find the place where you're going to be able to stay for a while to be with your breath. If that means using some support blocks under your forearms or your head, maybe you prefer to let your head hang. Maybe you need to keep your back long. And then just be with your breath. Feeling the expansion of the ribs as you breathe in. Feeling that release as the ribs come back in when you exhale. Letting your face soften. One more easy, deep, full breath. And then from here, we're going to walk ourselves on back around towards our left foot to come on back into lunge. So take your time to get there. Really find your lunge. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times, pressing down into the tops of the toes. Good, and then find your full dog and come on out to plank and bend your right knee and really press into the top of your right toes. Your knees just off the floor. And then come on back into your down dog again. And then as we come forward to plank, bend the other knee and let yourself press into the top of your left toes. So you're right there, your knees hovering off the floor. And then we're going to come back into down dog again. Let's come on out to plank. If you can go into a back bend from here, do it. You can go into your up dog, or you can go down through chaturanga if you'd like to come into your up dog, or your cobra, or not at all. And then we'll make our way back into down dog. You're on your own. You want to do a few more vinyasas or kriyas, go for it. If coming through your plank, moving into a back bend feels good, go for that. If there's something else your body is really needing to do, let yourself do it. Put your knees down if you need. Come into child's pose if you need. Be mindful. Take your time. Good. And then meet back in down dog. Because we are going to come to the other side, bringing that right foot forward. Coming up for that warrior two. So again, having your blocks handy, lining up your heels. Getting yourself aligned there with that front knee. Releasing that outer right hip down. So again, really feel good about the length of your stance. Good. And then as you start to bend and straighten that front knee, watch it, right? So, oftentimes it takes a bit of control not to let the knee kind of really go a little bit wonky. And even though naturally you're built to where the knee might go a little bit in or out, if you think about it, you can add a little bit of control there. The next time you get your knee bent, let it stay. Bring your right hand right there above your thigh and rise that left arm up. Turn your palm towards the front of your mat. You're looking down. So your neck is released. Good, now we're going to rise on up for those warrior two arms. Let the arms just come right to that spot where it feels so easy. Shoulders are melted down. Feel your feet equal in the floor. Be balanced up into your hips there. Good, one more breath. And then let your left hand come to your left hip, straighten your right leg out. We're coming to triangle pose, bringing that right hand down. So again, you can use your leg, you can go down towards your shin, your ankle, you can go to the floor if you want or to a block. And as you roll that left shoulder up towards the ceiling, feel the thighs lifting up. Add the left arm straight up if you can. Bringing yourself into your triangle pose. If you like to look up, you can. Think about that right front foot. If you can lift your toes up, do. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside, which is pretty tempting in this pose. One more breath. And then turn to look down at your foot again. We're going to bend the front knee. We're coming into side angle. So again, you can keep your hand on the block if you want or put your elbow above your knee. And then see if you can let that left arm descend closer in towards your head so you find that long, long diagonal line. You know, if your shoulder doesn't let you do this, don't do it. Again, you can look forward. You may want to look up a little bit. Totally up to you. Find that sense of length through both sides of the body. Beautiful. One more breath. And then we're going to turn to face the floor. We're walking to a wide-legged forward bend from here. So if you know you like your blocks, you might want to grab them. Come on around with them. Let your feet turn out a little bit when you get there so you're turned out from your hips. Bend your knees like you're doing a little goddess. But you're still forward with your hands or forearms, right? And then straighten your right knee out. Keep your left knee bent. And then come back to bending the right knee. And then straighten the left knee out. Stay there for a breath. And then bend both knees again. Now you might want to, as you bend the left knee, pick your right foot up and be on your right heel. If you like that one, you can do that one. Come back to center with both knees bent. Straighten your left leg. Pick up the foot to be on your heel. Now, if you like to go lower, those of you who like that, you know you can do it. You can bend your left knee, be on the heel of the right foot, and shift your hips down towards the ground. But you can use your hands to hold you up, obviously. You don't have to do these. If you want to do the other side, you come on back through. So as you pick up that left foot, the toes face up towards the ceiling, and you can come over and hold yourself with your hands to keep from going too deeply. And then you can come on back into center if you were doing those. Let's go ahead and get our feet parallel again. And let's walk our hands over towards the right foot. Now you can go as far as you want. You can hold the outside of your ankle, or you can let yourself stay more in front of your foot. Then bring your right hand up to your right hip. Roll your shoulder up just a little bit if you can. And then bring that right hand back down. We're going to walk back through center, and we're going to go to the other side. So again, only as far as you want to go. You don't have to go all the way to the foot. Left hand comes on up to the left hip. If you can roll the shoulder up, you may even want to look up towards the ceiling. And then come on back down again. Once you get into center, be easy to set yourself up. So if you need to wiggle around a little bit more, do. If you like support, whether it's under your forearms, under your head, you know, perhaps you feel better just to come into the traditional hands between your feet, head just releasing. That's totally up to you. You know that. Just be mindful and enjoy. And then just receive those breaths. Nothing you need to do, just watch. Imagining the inhales and exhales are equally important. And every time you exhale, just imagine that you're just releasing deeper and deeper. One more nice full breath. And then from here, we're going to let ourselves come up enough to walk towards that right foot to come back into our lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. You're on your own here. Do what feels good. If it feels better to you to put your knees down, do it. If you want to come out for vinyasa or a kriya, or if you feel like you'd rather, come into opening your hips a little bit, be really mindful. Take your time. Follow what your body needs you to do, really. Good. And then we are going to move back in down dog. And from here, bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your left foot up in the air. Let yourself find three-legged dog with the toes facing down. Press equally back out of your hands. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. Now actually from here, come forward to a three-legged plank. So lower that foot down where it almost touches the floor, but you're in a plank. And then come on back again into the three-legged dog, reaching up through that inner heel. Good. And this time we're going to come forward with that left foot and come into lunge. You might want to grab your blocks because from there we're coming into pyramid pose, lowering that back heel down to the floor. So getting your length of stance where you can be grounded in that back heel. Foot is turned out maybe 20 degrees, maybe 30 degrees. Really depends on you. Think about, if you can, trying to lift all your toes up. Now, the back foot's pretty hard. But if you can think about all the toes lifting up and finding the four corners of your feet and your arches lifting up. And then go ahead and release your toes down. And it is up to you whether you want to bow forward over this front leg. If you do, you can. You can have your hands on the blocks. You can put your hands to the floor. Feel those thighs lifting up towards the hips. Good. One more breath. And now bring your hands out where you are nice and flat backed. Okay? We're going to come into Revolve Triangle, bringing our left hand up to our left hip, rolling that left shoulder up, and trying to keep our hips level and square here. You can reach that left arm up if you want. That's up to you. Feel the thighs still lifting up towards the hips. And then we're going to release to come on back down. And now, we're just going to walk back through a wide-legged forward bend. Bring your blocks with you, all right? Kind of plunk your way around. We're going to go all the way to the other side into that lunge with the right foot forward. So you're facing backwards.
Just checking there.
Yeah. And now from here, we're going to come into pyramid on this side. So straightening that front leg out to lower that left heel all the way down to the floor. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. So you're really feeling that engagement upward of your thighs. Toes are going to try to come off the floor. Again, that back one is quite tricky, I realize. Do the best you can. Feel the arches lifting up. Release the toes back down. If you like to bow over that front leg, feel free. So if it feels good, you can release your way forward. You don't have to do this part, remember. Take your time. Let yourself just enjoy finding openness in the backs of the legs. Good, and then come back more, parallel to the floor. Ground yourself here with your left hand. Bring your right hand on up to your right hip and start to roll that shoulder up. Trying to stay level there. If you want to stretch your right arm up, you can. It's up to you and your shoulder. Revolve triangle, that twist in the middle of the back. Good, one more breath. And then let your hand release to come on down. We're going to bend the front knee, find lunge, and we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your right leg up into that three-legged dog. And then we're going to come out to that plank. Lower that foot to where it almost touches the floor, but you come to that three-legged plank. and then really strongly reach back into three-legged dog. And then go ahead and lower your foot on down, and now you're on your own. Do what feels good. Last vinyasas are kriyas, right? So if you want to do any, go for it. If you want to put your knees down, do that. If you're like, I have had entirely enough, I want to bring myself into a little bit more relaxed, or maybe you just want to relax in dog. Staying in dog and feel good about being in your dog. Good. So finish off. Well, come on back to dog just briefly if you were down into child's pose. And now bend your knees deeply. We're going to come towards the front of your mat, which is really kind of the back of your mat now. But come on in to coming with your feet underneath you. Letting yourself stay in your Uttanasana for a couple of breaths. Let your head turn a little side to side. Let your head feel heavy. And then bring your hands on up to your hips. Press into your feet. Rise up. Inhale your arms all the way out and up. And on your exhale, let your hands come down and let yourself find your mountain pose here. So you're facing a different direction, which is always fun, right? I mean, if you keep your eyes closed all the time, it won't make any real difference, will it? But it is kind of nice to reorient. Let yourself feel the feet in the floor equally. Feel that lightness in your head. Let your head float up there. Feel very open across your chest. Good. And then we'll go ahead and unfold our arms on down beside us. Shake out just a little bit. Good. And let's see if we can all bring our mats to the wall. I think we'll have room. You can come over here, Lana. I'll move the camera over. So there's 3 of you there. There can be 2 here. Maybe
You might
even
get
3
kicked out of
here.
your house, Lana.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can use the door. We're not going to do that much. The door is be fine. So first, let yourself bring your left hand towards the wall, okay? And bringing yourself into a tree pose, right? Now, if you want to touch the wall while you're bringing your foot up for tree, you can. If you prefer to keep your toes on the floor, put your heel to the inside of your ankle bone there, and then lift up with your hands not on the wall. I mean, sometimes it's fun to experiment how you get into tree pose. So, you know, oftentimes we have this automatic pilot. Hand goes to the wall. We bring our foot on up, right? And then we work on balance. Well, sometimes it's fun just to play a little bit with something different. So just be mindful. Let yourself feel the foot coming into the inside of your leg and the inside of your leg coming back into your foot. And if you need to come down and readjust, do. And remember, it's changing the arms, where you have your arms in tree, that is very challenging. So if you're in your tree and you feel like you want to, let your arms change, staying in balance, bringing the arms up or down or behind you, or, sometimes even clasping your hands at the back of your head. And again, it is a challenge, but it can be fun. Good. And now, let yourself release. Turn to face the wall. Put your left hand on the wall, okay? And then bring your right foot behind you. If you can get a hold of the top of your right foot, do. If you know that you can't do that, don't worry. Just bend the knee, flex the foot. So from here, press the foot into your hand if you have the foot. Start to rise your left fingertips higher up the wall, but start to come forward with your chest and back with your knee to dancer's pose. So let that supporting knee be bent a little bit, right? If you feel like, I just want to let my hand come off the wall because it feels great, you're more than welcome to. Also, it's fine to keep the hand on the wall, maybe even go a little deeper into the pose. A little more forward with your chest and back with your knee. So that instead of it being a balance, it's a huge stretch across the right side of the chest. Good. And then release. Come on down with that foot. We're going to turn around. We're going to bring our right shoulder towards the wall. And again, if you want to play with how you get into tree, if you prefer to think about, well, I don't want to use the wall for a change. I want to just put my heel on the inside of my ankle bone. Maybe releasing the foot up to the inside of your calf. Or, maybe you want to reach down and get your foot. And maybe you need the wall, use the wall, right? So be mindful. And again, the idea of finding that place to focus, your drishti, so feeling that focal point. And it's that concentration really. And if you can, change your hands during tree pose. That's a big, huge challenge to move your arms when you're in that balance. Remember though, you don't want to lock yourself into tree. One more breath, beautiful. And then when you do, get ready to come down, turn to face the wall. Right hand up the wall. Left foot comes behind you. If you can get hold of the top of your left foot, don't force it, because you can still, in this pose, as you send your chest towards the wall, the right fingertips kind of crawl up the wall, and you bend that right knee a little bit too, so you're not locking your knee. You can get, even without getting your foot, you can get a lot right here. You don't have to have the foot in your hand. So be mindful, take your time. If you want to release the wall a little bit, you can. If you don't. Nice. And then when you're ready, let yourself release on down. Turn on around and come on down for a second with your elbows above your knees. Rest your back and your hips a bit. But then we're going to grab a block. You can squat all the way down if you want, right? If you feel better to squat all the way down, do. We're going to do a little exercise here that's really good for plantar fasciitis. So, don't do this if it hurts. Grab a block. Turn to face the wall and have your block maybe a couple of feet away from the wall. And we're going to step on it and let our heels hang off that block. Right? So you've got the block turned sideways. Your heels are really hanging down. And you can do this on a step at your house, on a stair, right? And then come on forward towards the wall. Go onto your forearms. Let your heels really hang down. Engage your belly a little bit. You can go as far away from the wall as you want. So if this doesn't feel like enough, go ahead and move your back block farther away from the wall. And just let your heels hang for a second. Let yourself release there. So you really want the heels to be down lower than the level of the block. Good.
Is your back arched or are you flat?
I am pretty flat backed. I've got just my normal curve in my low back. Now, use your hands to come more upright. So you're standing on your block. And lift your heels way up. And then let the heels release down. Now do this gently, lifting up both heels at the same time. And then letting them come down below the level of the top of the block. See if you can do that a few times. And then of course, you can also do this doing just one heel down. So you bend one knee and let one heel hang down. Come up again and walk. In other words, it's like when you walk your Uttanasana or walk your dog, right? But hopefully it feels good. Hopefully it feels like a nice, almost like a massage in your calves. Good. And when you've had entirely enough of that, let yourself release and come on down. Good. We're going to come down with our feet back towards the wall behind us. and let ourselves come on into child's pose. Now, so here we're going to release our feet a little bit, right? Because we're on the tops of our feet now. And we've got our big toes together, our heels apart. If you're able to shift your hips back to your heels, that little bit of weight, so now you're stretching your feet the other way and you're releasing. And if that hurts, don't do it. You know that. Stay up with your hips if you need to. Good. One more breath. And then bring your arms forward and out overhead so we can come up to all fours. Check your hands out. We're going to do dog with our heels up the wall. If you know you'd rather go right to your forearms, by all means do it. But if you can stay up on your hands and you can reach back into dog, letting your heels be up the baseboard, hugging your elbows towards each other, do. Or even if you're on your forearms, same thing. Really reaching back through your sitting bones. And then see if you can lift one foot up the wall. Let the toes curl under at first. Press back equally out of your hands. You don't have to do this part. And then go to the top of the toes and press into your toenails on the wall up there. And then bring that foot down. We're going to switch. If you're doing this one, toes curled under at first. Press equally back out of your hands. Hug your elbows towards each other. Feel that great stretch in the leg you're standing on. That's a huge stretch for your hamstring. Go to a pointed foot up there on the wall. Tops of the toes pressing into the wall. And then bring that foot down. Let's come on down with our knees. Take a little break. Shift back into child's pose. If you want to bend your elbows and put your hands on your upper back too, you can decide how much more you want to play here with an inversion. So once you've rested a little bit, if you want to go back up again, feel free to do it. You can go up on with forearms. You can go up towards handstand, more handstand work, or forearm stand work. Or you don't have to do any of that, and you know it. So if you feel like you would like to, turn around and work a little bit on either forearm or handstand, or maybe you just want to walk both feet up the wall and let yourself play a little bit with that. When you're ready to rest, you rest whether you need to be in child's pose or with your head above your heart. Just be mindful. Take your time. Good. And we're going to ease our way to turn sideways on our mats. Now, which way you turn, it doesn't matter. If you want to look at the person that's across from you, or maybe you prefer to look at their backs, we're going to sit sideways and bring our right leg out from us. You can sit up on a blanket if you prefer. And this leg, and I'll show you guys first, the leg that's to the side is up to you whether it's a little more angled forward or out. It depends on how you're built. And this front leg, if you're able to get your heel to right to the midline of your body, that's fine. And if you're like, no way, that is not happening, that I can pull my foot in like that, you can leave your leg out further. You can support your knee. So you want to be really mindful of letting yourself feel like you're okay in this knee, because we're going to come forward. And as we do, this right heel is going to come down to the floor and draw back towards us. And then as we come forward, we're going to take our time, come forward from our low back until you feel your inner thigh here. And it doesn't take long. Don't let the foot roll forward though. Let the toes and the knee keep facing upward. And then you can take your time about coming forward and ease your way. So just be mindful. Let it feel like a nice release there for the inner thigh and for your hamstring too of that right leg. more breath. And then slowly let yourself come on back up. And we're going to bring ourselves to the other side. So the reason I had to turn sideways, I don't like my heel on the ground. So I like my heel on my mat, but if that doesn't make any difference, it doesn't really matter how you turn for this. So again, you know, forward leg is right directly forward of your hip. When you bring it out, whether it's like 45 degrees or a little bit more than that, that's up to how you're built in your hips. Again, be mindful of this other knee so that when you come forward a little bit, if you feel a glitch or like a, you know, any kind of weird feeling, you know, support it or just don't even bend it. Keep it long if you need to. So again, you're engaging by feeling the heel, left heel on the ground, drawing it back towards you. Your knee and your toe keep facing up. And you're coming forward with that long back. Good. Good. One more breath here. And then slowly make your way back up. And let's go for both. Let's bring both legs out into that wide angle. And again, it doesn't need to be that wide of an angle. It can be that wide of an angle. It depends on how you're built. You can grab a block if you feel like, well, it feels good to put my hands right there on a block in front of me. And to think about, you know, lifting my navel up and over that block there. So you're, again, coming forward from your low back. And you can use support. Some of you may feel better if your feet are closer together to slide your hands down towards your ankles or your feet, right? So you have to just be where you can be. Take your time, let yourself enjoy. Make sure your toes aren't rolling forward or backward, right? We're all built differently, so some of us want to rotate our legs inward and some want to rotate backward. So just trying to be mindful about that. Good. One more breath. And now when you start to come up, take your time. You can use your hands to help your legs come on back. And go ahead and straighten yourself out so you can lie back on your mat. And you can have blocks handy just in case you want them. You may not. And then we'll come on down onto our backs on the floor. So take your time. Make your way down however feels good. Let your feet be on the floor, and once you kind of get there and your feet are on the floor, set up just to do a few little pelvic tilts. Let yourself start just by letting the tailbone curl up, the low back press down into the floor. When you inhale, let your pelvis come back to normal. Let that low back curve come back to normal. And let it not be big. Don't think about lifting your hips. It is really so low and deep. It's just the tailbone curling up, which puts that low back, the sacrum into the ground. And now if you really like pelvic tilts, but you'd like to roll up your spine a little higher once you do one, you can. You can roll. It's like a rolling bridge. And I'm telling you, it is not for everybody's back. So I actually don't often even talk about it. To me, it feels wonderful. But if you have certain issues in your back where the idea of drawing one vertebrae off the floor and then letting one vertebrae at a time come down to the floor, if it doesn't feel good to you, don't do it. And you don't have to even go high. You know, you may just want to come up to about the middle of your back and then come back down. You don't have to roll way up into below your shoulder blades or anything, right? Anyway, if you don't like these at all, come into a regular bridge pose of choice. You're welcome to grab a block and do a supported bridge pose. You can grab 2 blocks and get up really high. If you want to work on a little bit of your full upward facing bow pose, you're welcome to do that. So just be mindful. And if bridge is not working for you today, come down and do what you need to do instead. Or just move up and down in bridge. I mean, sometimes it feels good just to inhale up into a bridge and exhale back down a few times, right? And it doesn't mean you need to come high. I'm going to get ready to think of coming down, but when you do, you want to take your time. And if you're up on that block, really be easy when you come down. So when you get your hips down, you can easily bring a knee at a time in towards your chest. And you know, if you like to bring knees side to side or circle them, you know, maybe you even like to bring your face in towards your knees, curl up into a little ball. Just be mindful of what feels good. And then we'll come back to feet on the floor. Bring your arms out beside you into a T position. Bring your right knee into your chest. Stretch the leg up towards the ceiling, right? And now just bring the leg over to the left for an easy twist. Now your left knee is still bent and the foot was on the floor. Now you're on the outside of your left thigh there. And you can reach this right leg as far as you want over, right? You can reach it all the way up to your left hand if you want to. Let yourself find a twist that feels good. It can be lower. It can be almost side by side with your other thigh if you want. It depends on where you want to feel the twist, right? It depends on your own body. Good. So one more breath there. And then come on back up to the top. Let that foot come to the floor. Once you get up there, both feet come on down to the floor. Kind of let yourself, if you need, even out. And then we're just going to bring that left foot knee in and stretch the left leg up. And it's going to go over to your right into that twist. And again, you know, you may want to go 2 inches. Or you may feel really good to go farther and farther over towards the ground. If you want to bend the knee, right? Try to let your left shoulder release towards the ground. Let yourself just enjoy the twist of choice. It really feels like a relief for you here. Back. Take your time. You know you come back easily, however feels good. Bringing your feet to the floor. Perhaps bringing your knees all the way in towards your chest. Or whatever feels good. A happy baby pose, or letting your knees circle around. Letting your feet come up in the air if that feels good. So, you know, take your time. Let yourself just be mindful of letting the body move or not move, really, if whatever way feels good. So, I mean, you may decide that you need another pose or movement, or you may decide, I really just want to get ready for Shavasana. And, you know, I've got all these blankets, I've got all these bolsters. You have a wall there. If anybody wants to turn around, lie with their legs up the wall, you know you're always welcome to do that. If you need a little bit of support underneath your knees, if you're lying out, I'd be happy to bring a bolster for under your knees. Or if you want to lie back on a bolster. Knees, bolster about that. Lie back on. You want a little one?
Yeah.
A little one or a bigger one?
A little one. This way, so it's bigger.
You want the bigger one. lifting. Let yourself enjoy the ground supporting you. As you just let yourself go with your breath. Returning to your breath every time your mind wanders. It gets easier and easier. And your body responds to the breath as it quiets, and so does your mind. Just give yourself these few minutes. Trust that your body will get what it needs from all the poses and all the moving we just did. And just let yourself completely and fully relax. breath to gradually come in and go out more deeply so that you start to feel re-energized by your breath. And as the breath comes in and goes out, maybe you feel like starting to move again. Fingers and toes, hands and feet. Let your body move the way that feels very natural to you. Maybe you need to stretch everything out. Maybe you need to bring your knees in or release your back. So really take your time. If you can enjoy the ground a little longer, whether you stay on your back or roll onto either your right or your left side. Just feel cradled by the ground a little bit longer and appreciate gravity holding you down there. So that when you do feel like it's time to come up to sitting, it feels like really kind of the next natural thing to do. Let your eyes, if possible, stay closed while you get comfortably seated so that, your focus is inside and you can really let your body adjust its way into being comfortable. Letting yourself start to feel that length upward, so feel lots of space in your spine. It's easy to breathe, and you can follow your breath in and out again. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.